So we wanted to talk today about the Beyond Activ Summit that we went to in December. And we haven't had really a chance to catch up and talk about like what we really felt was going to happen next in terms of like how we can manipulate that as therapy. Like what can we do that's going to keep us ahead of the game and make sure that we keep growing and surviving? What do you think the main take homes for you were about in that session or in the sessions?
Well, it kind of opened up to around like, how the fitness industry still got work to do in terms of getting more people into gyms, getting more people active. What can we do about that? One of the big things that I kind of forgot about because we've been in a bubble recently, but like is like the rise of GLP-1s and Ozempic and medication and how that's impacting the industry. So that was actually one of the key topics, which I was kind of like,
it's kind of crazy that we're talking about that.
Yeah. But also interesting that is a big topic in the industry, but it's so far removed for us because we don't really focus on weight loss.
Yeah.
Whereas a lot of other places do. So when a weight loss drug comes into the market, of course, it's going to affect a gym, people that work in fitness, etc. But we've been so far removed from that because our ethos is so different that it wasn't even in my
me
awareness. And then I was like, oh yeah, shit, that's the thing. So
I saw yesterday an article come out in the Fit Insider that was talking about like gyms actually doing specific nutrition plans and programs for people on that drug, which I think is just crazy. I feel like, yes, I understand your nuanced side of things, which is that for some people this drug could be really helpful if, they've got certain genes and limitations for weight loss that, something like Ozempic will really help them get through those first few stages of losing like the huge amount of weight. But I also think there's people abusing the drug where they don't actually need to lose weight and it's just a self-confidence thing or a self-love thing that needs to be rectified, as opposed to like taking a drug for a quick fix, which we all know like long-term isn't a solution. Like I've suffered with eating disorders. I know so many women that has. You can get to a goal weight that still doesn't take the disordered thinking away. And so like taking drugs in that instance isn't going to suddenly make you feel better about yourself. Like you need to do the work on the other end of things, which is the self-love, the self-appreciation. But I also think there's a side to the story here, which is that we're not creating environments that make people feel safe to come and do the work on themselves, on their mental health, their physical health, their overall well-being. Instead, we're saying now, okay, take this drug, then you'll feel confident enough to come into the gym. And I think we can create environments where you feel confident in the first place.
Yeah, I think that's massive in it. If we're at a point where we're saying, people need to lose weight to feel confident to go into the gym, then we've failed in what we're trying to do as gym owners and operators, because we should be creating spaces where people feel comfortable to walk in the first place. And we hear that all the time, right? We're probably shouting that message louder than anyone to try and make our space super friendly and welcoming, but we'll still get people that say, I need to be fitted to go to therapy, or, I'm not quite ready yet. And we're constantly scratching our heads as to, well, what can we do to make the gym space feel different so people are more willing to walk in. And that was actually one of the conversations from a lot of the, you're seeing a bit of a trend in the industry now with like gyms trying to feel less like gyms and more like spas, as an example. And that's something that we focus on, right? We don't want it to feel like what a traditional gym feels like, because I think because of over the years, people have now created a bit of a negative kind of association with what that is, like whether that's it's the place that I have to go to punish myself and burn calories, or, I only go to the gym to lose weight, or whatever it is. That feeling of the bog standard gym, I think it might have a bit of a negative connotation for people. So what we're focusing on, and what actually a few of the other gyms that we saw were focusing on, was, how can we turn the gym into a bit of a spa or a bit of a place of wellness, where it feels nice and it feels a bit luxury, and it's got that holistic kind of wellness feel where it's not just focused on what you look like and targeting your body fat, and actually we're looking at other things. And it was nice to hear other people talk about that, but also know that that's the trajectory that we're on. And I really think that's one of the biggest things. If the barrier is getting people into gyms and getting people moving, then we need to. It's the first impression that's always an account, right? So how can you make entering less of a barrier, because it's already hard enough anyway for people. They've already got barriers around time and kids and energy and confidence in their ability. So like, how can we remove even more of those barriers? So taking that first step's easier.
Yeah. Well, what's the statistic? Like it's like 80%, 70 to 80% of Australians aren't moving enough, which is insane. And I don't think that statistic has really budged very much over the last however long that I've been in the industry anyway. I feel like even though we saw a lot of people moving in the right direction, like people are now talking about mental health more, which they weren't a couple of years ago when we started therapy. They're talking about moving away from calories, weight loss as a focus a little bit. I still feel like it's a fight, and a fight that I'm having on the panel discussions that I have and stuff. But like, I do still believe so many people have the mentality of like focusing on weight loss and aesthetics, but what they're doing by doing that is still just servicing the 20% that already are willing to get up and move. I don't think we're doing anything, or I think we are, but I don't think most people are doing anything for the 80% of people that really don't want to move. They exercising is a freaking chore. It feels awful in their body and in their mind. Just getting off the couch is difficult. They feel ashamed. They feel nervous. They feel gym intimidation. And like, and we're not doing anything for those people. Or I think, again, I think we are. I'm hoping that we are, because what we're doing is firstly trying to make the environment non-intimidating so that they feel welcome to step in. And then also when they're in, I think this is the most important part. We're making the fitness fun. We're making the exercise experience enjoyable so that they go, oh my God, yeah, I definitely want to go back to that. That felt amazing. That didn't feel like workout. That didn't feel like I was focusing on my flaws. That didn't feel like I was focusing on what my body can't do. It was focusing on what my body could do. It was celebrated, all of those things. And so then I feel like then that creates a habit for people to come back. And we've heard that from our members, right? That like, it's the most they've ever exercised. It's the most they've ever been consistent. Well, I think that's what the industry needs to be doing more of, is like getting rid of this like old fashioned thinking around we have to focus on this one thing that we've been focusing on the entire time, and actually start to change the messaging. And whether that's messaging like us or a new message or voice for a different company, but just get it away from what we've always been doing, because what we've always been doing hasn't been working.
Yeah, I think, look, exercise works for weight loss, right? It isn't as effective as it's been made out. Like if you move more, like you're naturally going to lose, you're going to burn up more energy, therefore you're going to lose weight, whatever. Like we know exercise does play a role in weight loss, and it's a piece of the puzzle, but it's not the most integral part of that puzzle, right? And it's kind of been missold over the years within the industry as to the, you exercise to lose weight, you exercise for body composition. And when you look at the motivation research and stuff like that, you talk about this all the time. We've just done a reset week challenge where we talk about it in our challenge. That aside, what's happening is the industry's focused on primarily extrinsic motivations for turning up and training. So come and train with us to lose weight. Come and train with us because you need to lower your blood pressure, whatever it might be. It's these extrinsic reasons without actually focusing on the intrinsic kind of core value, deep lying motivation as to why somebody would want to step foot in the gym, go out for a walk, a hike, whatever it might be, and move the body every day. And I think we all know it. Personal trainers are trained in this. Gyms know this, but you said the 20%, like we target the 20% that move, but it's not, I'd say it's not only the 20%, but it's also when your motivation is high to exercise, i.e. I've got a wedding coming up, and all of a sudden your brain switches to, I'll go and do the gym because they sell me on the extrinsic motivation. Yeah. So when the wedding's coming up, I'm really motivated to exercise, I'll go and exercise. When there's an event coming up, I'll go and exercise because I've got the extrinsic motivation. But that's not going to be you all the time in your life. So when your motivation's low and you've not got a strong extrinsic reason for training, what's the reason that's going to get you out of bed in the morning to continue to move your body? And that's probably the area that the industry's not focused on enough. You're not seeing that in marketing. You're not having how many gyms sit down and do like like what we did in the reset week, which was before we set any goals for your New Year's resolutions, before we even look at how many times a week you're going to commit to exercise, what diet you're going to commit to, or whatever it might be, before we go anywhere near that, what are your core values? What are your core beliefs? Like, what are your intrinsic, deep-seated motivations for life? And if we understand them first, then we can take that, as we did in that workshop, and tie them into the goal. And that really great example we had from one of our members where we went through this process, and it was like her deep value was calm. She wanted to create calm in her life because she feels like there's a lot of chaos, and calm is really important to her. And then she said, she was really struggling with her exercise because she procrastinates before she goes to the gym and ends up then doing things for other people and putting off going to the gym. And then we kind of had a pretty frank conversation around that whole idea of, well, if you're saying that the reason that you exercise, which she did say, she was like, the reason I exercise is because it creates calm in my life and it's really important for me. It's my only kind of way of getting control in the chaos to create some calm. Then we had a really deep conversation around like, well, every time you choose to procrastinate and do other things, for other people, then what you're choosing is chaos. What you're choosing is to be chaotic for other people, to have chaos in your life. Whereas every time you choose the gym, you're actually choosing calm. And that doesn't mean choosing a yoga session. It can actually be, and we know this through the research as well, in stress and anxiety, it could be a high intensity session will still create calm. It could be a yoga session will still create calm. But the point is, for her reason for moving wasn't to lose weight, wasn't to lower blood pressure, wasn't to build muscle. It was, this is my place to create calm. So when I turn up at the gym and I do my 45-minute session, I'm getting calm. So when we actually drilled down to that core value and then associated the habit, i.e. the exercise, with calm, and saying you've got a choice, turn up and create calm, or don't turn up and create chaos, all of a sudden it makes the choice of movement very, very different from, oh, I need to go to the gym to lose weight because I saw my favorite influencer on Instagram and they've got a perfect body and I want to look like them. So therefore, and they go to the gym. So I'm going to the gym because that's what they do. And now my whole entire identity and reasons for training are based on some extrinsic external reason that's outside of myself. And that's the shift that I think, and what we focus on a lot, and what I think we really need to look at more, is like actually helping people understand what their deeper values are, what their deeper motivations are, and actually tying movement to that, rather than continuing to push it's new year, lose some weight, exercise for these reasons, and forcing the message onto people as to why they should exercise.
What I liked about her as well is that she also spoke about the fact that she felt her priority was always her kids, and that actually a big part of who she is, a core value, is being in service of others. And that actually, like, trying to sometimes reframe it in your mind is that perhaps she's going to the gym or doing the workout not for her but for them might actually help her motivation, because she wants to always be in service. So if she can go and turn up to the gym and find her calm, she's going to turn up as a better mother and as a better carer, right? And I think that's really, really cool when you see that in people, and you can understand that for a lot of people, right, their core value is service of others. So actually, for those people, you don't actually necessarily set the goal around themselves, but you set around how they're going to turn up for the other people, which some people might be like, oh my God, that's crazy. Like, I would never think about other people like that
myself,
way.
Right?
But like she in particular was actually, that reframe really helped her, which I thought was really, really nice.
And that's the thing, right? Everyone's got different motivations, different identity, different beliefs, different priorities in their life. Some people are really people orientated and care more outwardly. Some people actually just care about more of their time. There's no right and wrong. It's just that everyone's unique in that aspect in terms of what their deepest values are. And if we're not taking space and having time to reflect on what those things are, and then tie our habits to that, whether it's exercise, nutrition, sleep, whatever it might be, then we're just picking habits and trying to do things based on superficial extrinsic reasons, which I suppose is what the fitness industry is kind of focused on, because it's an easier sell, right? It's easy to say, come to the gym and lose weight. Come to the gym for, these reasons. It's easier to sell that message on a Facebook post or an Instagram post than it is to go, what are your deep core values? Like, it's hard to have that conversation.
Yeah.
But I suppose if
people don't know.
Yeah.
People don't know. You have to pull that out of them. Value stuff is stuff that we've done a lot of work on, but it's been years of work of like different programs, different core value sessions, different people's ways of pulling out values from you that we've kind of got to grips with that a whole heap. But I think for some people, you ask them what their core values are, they have no idea, or they'll just pick a bunch of words. And I think, like, actually for any goal setting or year planning or any of that stuff, I think core values should come first. Just because, like, you're right, if you don't know what your core values are, then you're just putting words on paper. Like, I think I used this example in the session, but I was like, there's been so many times where I've like, oh, I'd love to learn to surf, I'd love to learn to play the guitar, I'd love to do all these lovely things, and like I don't get any further than writing them on a bit of paper. But it's because, like, I actually don't care that much. But like, I don't think, if you don't know your core values, you don't know that you don't care that much. Do you know what I mean? I think it's like you've got to understand who you are at that deep core value level, so that you can understand what's important to you. So therefore, what goals are actually going to be something that you're going to put your whole ass into. Do you know what I mean? Otherwise, you're just not going to. And I know I wouldn't.
And I don't think this is the absolute solution for gyms to get more people in, because, like I said, it's quite difficult to do that, right? But I suppose it's an awareness of our industry and people within our industry, and then people that are looking to improve the motivation to exercise. If we have more awareness around what actually forms habits, what forms our behaviors, core values, like these types of things that we're talking about, and try to layer them into either the gym or your daily practice at home or whatever it is, and gym owners themselves and our marketing message, if there was ways we could just bring a little bit more of this in, then maybe it sparks that thought, or it sparks that inquiry for people to start looking inward more, or whatever it might be. I'm not saying every gym in the world now needs to do 3-hour goal setting workshops to onboard people into the gym before they start, because that's not obviously a viable solution. But at least if we can at least start supporting people to inquire more into these things rather than just it always being the superficial marketing message, then we might actually be able to support people in setting more meaningful goals around why they're moving in the first place.
Why do you think people, like, not people in general, business owners, like, because, you know, we know that we had some conversations over that weekend that, like, people were like, yeah, that's nice, but weight loss is still always going to win out, right? Like, there was still that mentality. Yeah. And I don't agree with them, as you know, 100% I don't agree with them. But I still feel like it's a fight, right? I do feel like there is a difference between male and female business owners when it comes to this. I really do. Like, so when we did our panel, as you know, like, it was a female fitness panel. It was an incredible panel. Like, there was amazing people on there. Diana, the owner of Firmware Fitness, myself, there was Jen Dugard talking about training pre-postnatal. Like, it was really, really great. But it was a room, it was full. We had the smaller room, which I feel like we could have had the main stage. I really do. I think it was an important subject. But we were still 80% women in that room. There wasn't enough men coming into that room to learn about what women feel like in the industry, you know. And there's so many stats coming out now, like that, you know, all those sleep studies I was telling you about the other day I sent you, that you know, it's now showing that women need far more sleep than men do, because obviously we're such different human beings biologically. But like, now it's saying that we need sort of, you know, more like 8 to 9 hours sleep per night, which I definitely resonate with. But like, people are only starting to do these studies now. It's not only sleep, it's thousands of studies that were primarily done on men and are now being done on women. We do operate differently biologically, but also I think mentally as well, when it comes to body image, the way we feel in the gym intimidation, all of those things. And I'm not saying it doesn't affect men. Of course it does. But I don't feel like there was enough men in that room to hear it. And I wonder whether there's a correlation there between them not wanting to hear it yet and like this kind of stubbornness around why they keep coming back to the same marketing messages, why they keep coming back to weight loss as a primary tool and not trying anything else and not trying to affect the 80%, still just drilling down on the 20. Like, do you reckon, as a man, do you know why that?
Well, it's interesting, right? Because you even have women fighting you on the same problem.
Yeah, no, of course.
I think the industry in general is stuck.
And they're surprised. They're surprised that our messaging can work.
Yeah, like I think even the women in that audience are like, oh, still had the same doubts. And I think the reason for that, maybe there's differences men and women in terms of like their beliefs around weight loss and stuff like that. But I think in general, it's actually an industry issue of it's far more easier to sell a pain point, right? And this is the thing: human beings are driven by pain. They like we react more to a painful situation. So for me to say, you know, try and put a marketing message out there around like, I don't know, strength train at therapy now to protect your brain health and and build strong neural pathways so that you are healthier in 20 years from now. It's like, yeah, cool. I don't really care about 20 years from now. I'm not really thinking that far ahead. There's no current pain that's motivating me to take action because 20 years is so far away. My brain's fine. I'm not really thinking about it. Do you know what I mean? That it's not as hard hitting. Whereas you go bikini body and slap it all over a poster and people look at that and go, I don't look like that. Pain. I want to look like that.
So shit,
insecure. And then that fires people into taking action, right? So it's just a case of it's always easier to sell on the pain points and provide the solutions to the pain point because that's how humans are wired. So to step away from that is fear, you know, especially if you imagine you're seeing your Facebook ads or whatever it might be, and you're seeing you're getting great clicks and great sign-ups, and to then go, I'm going to move away from that message and try something else, then it might quite have people. And you know, one thing I will say here, you know, like, and this is taking a step back and trying to be as neutral as possible because I know that we're in a different world, but like some gyms focus on that and their members actually want that as well, right? So like some gyms cater to bodybuilders and it's their goal to like to carve the most incredible physique outside of what's normally humanly possible, and that's their goal. And if that's their goal, great. And if there's a gym that wants to cater to that message and cater to that audience, great. But I suppose do that. That's all good. But I suppose if the conversation, which was the weekend, was about how do we reach the general population aren't moving enough, the general population aren't getting into the gym enough, then maybe it's time we look at a different message than that, because obviously that message, while it, again, it works in the short term, because if you prod that pain point at the right moment for someone when they've got a wedding coming up, it works great and they sign up to the gym. But guess what happens after they finish the wedding?
Yeah.
They stop training
Yeah.
because the motivation's not there anymore. So if we're actually going to tackle the root cause of the problem, we need to, again, move away from these superficial reasons and try and find deeper seated reasons. That's my opinion on it.
I think the big players have got to get involved, right? Like I love seeing like my old fam, Virgin Active, Les Mills. They've all kind of recently actually gone down, you know, the anti-gym intimidation marketing route, which I love, because I think, you know, we're a tiny company right now. We're one site, hopefully yet to be more sites, but like I think we can only shout so loud. But if the big players, like the big health clubs that, you know, have sites not just nationwide but sometimes worldwide, can be louder, then it starts to become a bit uncool to market the other way. That's what I want it to get to a point of.
Yeah.
I want it to get to a point of, if somebody is posting a before or after on Instagram, or they're posting a bikini body workout or what I eat in a day, they're getting like, oh my God, what are you doing? That's disgusting. Like, I really want it to get to that point. Like, I want it to be so uncool and so like unheard of. If someone's doing it, it's like, ooh, what are you doing? Like, that's not nice. You're creating poor mental health with this post. You know, what you're doing here is you're not creating motivation. You're creating insecurities. You know, and I want it to get to a point that like that people see that, understand it, and call it out.
Yeah,
I think that's going to be important.
Yeah, and I think, look, there's another part of this that I think about as well, which is we can't ignore it completely, because we know that, you know, when people exercise, if they start to lose weight, build muscle, lose, change body shape, that's going to happen, right? That's a natural part of the process of like working out. And by doing that, it does have a ripple effect on confidence as well. So when people, you know, improve their health and improve the body markers or whatever it might be, like they'll start to feel better about themselves. So I don't think it's about completely disregarding the message. I think it's about how can you talk to it in a different way. And I like what we do, which is, well, we don't focus on it at all, but we let it be a byproduct of, right? Yeah. So it's like, find the deeper reasons for moving, find enjoyment in moving, move for all the right reasons. And then naturally, as a consequence of the fact that you're consistently turning up, because that's actually the secret. And if anyone's trying to sell any secrets of what the best exercise is for this, that, and the other, it always just comes down to consistency, right? People aren't consistent enough. So if you love moving and you're moving for the right reasons and the deeper reasons, and you keep doing it, then you'll get those results, those physical results, health results, lower blood pressure, increased muscle mass, better bone density, whatever those physical markers are. That'll happen, but it'll happen as a consequence of the consistency. So it's a byproduct of you turning up for different reasons. And that's what I like about us. Like, members will come to us all the time and they'll celebrate, oh, I've lost 20 kilograms, and we celebrate it with them. It's not like we're shunning them and saying we don't talk about that here. No. We're saying congratulations. But what I love is they'll come to us and go, I've lost 20 kilograms and I can't believe we've not even spoke about it. Like, it's not even been the focus. I've just loved moving. I've loved showing up to therapy because I love the exercise. It's the most I've ever shown up. It's the most consistent. I'm not a gym person. It's those conversations, and that's the transformation for me, is when you get the non-gym person saying, I'm not a gym person, I don't like the gym, but I'm on my 250th session. Oh, and by the way, I've actually lost 20 kilograms. It's like, that's the middle ground, right?
And I think there's a couple of things there for me. One is, for some people, there is 20 kilograms to lose, right? It's because, like, health-wise, I'm not talking about aesthetics or wanting to look a certain way due to a magazine or a movie. It's about, like, health markers for me always. Are you the best version of yourself inside? Yeah. And then as a byproduct, that's what your expression is outside, right? So first of all, for some people, there might be 20 kilograms to lose for health, right? For lots of health reasons, in which case that's definitely celebrated. But I also think there's the byproduct of, like, starting to move more becomes an act of self-love. And when you show up every day for yourself, not to burn calories and not with the focus of losing weight, but instead of enjoying your workout program and celebrating your body, and then you're around people that aren't focusing on all those things, suddenly you look in the mirror and you actually appreciate the body you're in more, and you feel good because you're moving. And we've always talked about this, right? Yeah. When you start doing that, other health habits kind of kick in too, right? Like when you're moving every day and you're getting your steps in and, you know, you're drinking your water, all of a sudden, oh, actually, I don't want to eat all of that junk food on the weekend. Maybe I only want to have a little bit of the junk food, or all of a sudden you don't feel like you need to binge anymore. I spoke about this like for the first time ever last year when we went on holiday. It was the first time I ever didn't feel like I had to diet before or diet after, because I was eating well and to my best ability before, and I continued to do that during the holiday because I didn't feel like I had to binge or have treat foods, because I just enjoy the foods I like all the time, but I'm never binging or never overindulging because I don't feel the need to,
And
right?
we were still working out.
Yeah, and we're
And this
still
is the whole point,
moving,
right?
and
We weren't working out because we were like, oh my God, obsessive. We need to work out
no,
because we're going to eat more
because
food.
we love it.
That's the point. And that's back to what we said at the start. If moving is a part of your identity, if you exercise because it's a part of your core values and it's a part of your identity, then it doesn't matter where you go in the world, what holiday you go on. If that's who you are, if you're a person that likes to move, then you'll go and find a place while you're on holiday to move, because that's not for any particular reason, but it's because it's who
Because it
you are.
feels good.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, as a byproduct of that, you, as I said, you start to look in the mirror and you start to go, oh, actually, just I love my body more, because you're appreciating it for the things you do. And if maybe through that your aesthetic body has changed slightly, then cool. But I don't think it matters as much anymore, right? It's like it's just all a byproduct of you showing yourself more self-love, showing up for yourself every day, changing your mindset, moving more because you love it. Therefore, by a byproduct, probably putting the things in your body that feel better, the water, the sleep, the food, the whatever. And by a byproduct, you are just becoming the healthiest version of you. And I think that's so different to like another place where you might come in and say, do a challenge or whatever. And straight away, the emphasis is on what you look like.
Yeah.
And for lots of those people, they don't actually have to physically change, as in their body shape isn't unhealthy. It isn't at a point like previous example where maybe you have to lose 20 kilos. For lots of people that show up to the gym, there's nothing to lose, not for health, maybe for aesthetics because they've told themselves that there is, but actually they're perfectly aesthetically pleasing for their body shape and type already, right? And they've just got in their mind that I need to look a certain way, I have to lose this, I have to lose this. And I've been there pinching the body parts in the mirror, you know, looking at myself in the mirror every single morning, pinching a part of my body that I don't like and being just wishing it would go, but for not any reason, not for health, not for anything other than a magazine or a movie has told me I shouldn't have that little bit of fat, right? But what's happened over the years is this hasn't changed. I still have it, but now I love it, and I don't feel like I need to lose it anymore, because I know I show up for myself every day in acts of self-love. I move my body, I drink water, I eat good foods, I don't binge, I have great social connections. All of those things have made me just appreciate my body more and the things it does for me, and I don't feel like I have to make it look like anybody else's. That's the difference, right? Because these other gyms, you show up and immediately they're taking a photo of you, they're putting you on a scanner of some description, and saying to you, oh, you could lose 2% body fat, or you know, you could tone up here, or you know, like
and let's give you a cash prize at the end if you're losing those
if you
weight.
lose the most fat,
Yeah,
or lose the most inches, then we'll give you $500. Like, what the fuck? Like, I'm sorry, that is actually gross to me. Like, it's like, I'm going to celebrate you for maybe losing the most fat, even though you didn't need to. There could be somebody over here that actually needed to lose 5 kilos for their health, but they're not going to get celebrated. There might be somebody over here that didn't need to lose anything at all. In fact, maybe they're underweight and they're still being celebrated for losing weight, which is awful. That's basically just helping support their disordered behavior, right? And then there's lots of people that we've spoken to, a lot of people that we've spoken to, that don't end up showing up to their final scan or photo because they feel ashamed that they haven't achieved as much as they should have done.
But even if you win, this is the problem with that kind of thing. Even if you win, you did it to win the money. And then when there's no carrot of winning the money anymore, what happens after the challenge? You stop the habits because it's unsustainable and you give up. And again, it's about long-term change. And yeah, to the point that you made before, my personal journey recently actually is really, and because it is a constant navigation, you never get it perfectly right. You're constantly like in and out of the two worlds, and you know, loving yourself more and all these different things. And for me recently, like, you know, before we opened therapy, I was working from home, not exercising as much and stuff like that, and like felt out of shape for me, like, and it like on like a health level, like I wasn't as active, that kind of thing. And you know, over the last couple of years, really getting back into a routine, recently feeling really good in my body, like exercising regularly, lifting weights again, building muscle. And it's interesting, right? Because to your point, you see the change physically, and it does give you a bit of a confidence boost and stuff like that. But then it's really interesting to what you said. I've even found my brain going to, oh, I'm starting to look really good. But then hyperfixating on, oh, but I'd really like to build these aspects up more, or, drop more around these bits, and then starting to really like get finicky on the aesthetics again. And then I watch my brain do that. And, because you're going to see, and this is the other issue, right? At the beginning of any exercise journey, you'll see quicker
Quicker results,
results.
yeah, because of
And
the
then,
big change,
and then
right?
all of a sudden you'll plateau. And then what I noticed in my brain was when I was hyper fixating on the aesthetic response, as soon as I hit my first plateau, my motivation started dropping, because I was like, oh, I'm not really getting that. I'm not really seeing any growth in my arms or whatever it might
That would
be.
happen to so many
And I had to
people.
stop myself in that moment and go, no, Kyle, remember the reason why you actually started training again in the first place. You started training again because you realized that you were sedentary, because you were working from home, which it was for me.
Because you're a
Like,
nicer human.
yeah, because I'm and the big thing, and like the therapy message has actually really hit home hard for me as well, just by being immersed in it in the last 2 years, which is like just having awareness of when I go to the gym and train, I just feel less stressed. Like, as a business owner, I can feel like I've got the weight of the world on my shoulders. I can have anxiousness running through my brain, racing thoughts around like the doom and gloom of what might happen with business. And then I can go into the gym, do a workout, 45 minutes later, come out, and all of a sudden I'm like, I have control of everything. My brain's calm. I
It's
feel
like
more
that
confident.
Instagram reel where it's like, and then you go in the gym and it's all quiet.
Yeah. So like I've had to, so that's actually been my motivation to showing up every day, is actually when I go to the gym, my brain feels better. I feel less stressed. I feel more calm of a human. I feel more in control. I feel like a more confident leader for the team. I feel like a more confident leader for the members. So I'm tying all these like intrinsic reasons, right, about leadership for therapy, and because career is a big
Because
value
that's
of
really important
mine,
to you.
and
That
and
comes
these,
back full circle
yeah,
to
to that.
the values, right?
So then I focus on that, and then that keeps me going to the gym. But again, it's this dance between I do that, I'm consistent, I see results, and then my brain switches from that stuff back to, oh, I want to look more like this because of, for whatever reason, whether it's, again, because like I don't think this gets spoken about enough, but men have the same
Oh,
issue, right?
100% they do.
The
It's,
the
I don't
the
ever mean
men,
to
no, yeah,
discount them.
the men's health magazines, and it's maybe imprinted in me. Why do I want to grow my arms a bit more here, and why do I want to get more muscle here and here? Why is my brain still fixating on those things, right? So it's there. So then what happens is I go back into that, and then I feel my motivation drop again, and it's like, oh, I don't really want to go to the gym today, because my reason for exercising has switched
It's
back to,
switched.
I want to build muscle. But when I actually think about it, I actually don't give a shit. Do you know what I mean? I don't give a shit about that enough to turn up to the gym. I'd rather work, because my career is more important to me than how I look to other people compared to a men's health model, right?
Yeah.
So, but if I think about, well, I want to build muscle for longevity, because as you age, your testosterone drops in for men and you lose muscle. So like now is the time where I want to put enough muscle on to preserve, then that's a higher motivator for me, because health is important to me. Health and longevity is a higher value to me than how I look to other people, right?
Yeah.
Mental health is a higher value to me than how I look to other people. So I constantly have to reevaluate when I feel my motivation drop. I have to check in with myself and go, what am I actually focusing on right now? And I'm like, I've gone back to focusing on aesthetics, which was 21-year-old Kyle.
Yeah.
That was that when it was important to 21-year-old Kyle about looking buff on cruise ships as a personal trainer. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But that's an old version of me that doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah.
So I have to keep coming back to like, what are my reasons for training, and bring it back to the right reasons, so I don't fall into the trap of the aesthetics, which is actually demotivating.
And it's not fun. It's not for, anyway, only speaking from my perspective. Yours might be a bit different because yours might be more about like muscular gain. Like for me, it was always about calorie burn. And like, that's why like I have to be really careful around wearing wearables or anything that really tracks calories, or using things like MyFitnessPal. For me, with, an ED history, I just can't really go near those things. It can become very quickly a dance into the obsessive. Because, and that isn't enjoyable. Like when I was working out for those reasons, you'd be constantly checking the watch to see how many calories, and you'd have in your brain, I want to burn, I don't know, 500 calories, right? So you would be keep watching, and you'd be, that would all be your focus, right? Nothing about the workout, nothing about how it's making you feel internally. It would all be about like just getting to that calorie goal, and that would dictate whether it was a good or bad workout. Like if you hit your 500 calories, I guess I probably got a surge of dopamine, nice big reward. I did the thing, but like it wasn't about the workout or how I felt. I could just now feel less guilty about whatever I was eating that day,
Yeah.
Or if I didn't burn it, then that would create like almost disruption in the mind, right? Because then I would be like, well, okay, I need to burn those extra calories. So what do I need to do? Do I need to go for a walk? Do I need to do another workout? And I see people training like that, and it breaks my heart because I've been there, and I just know that it's a really miserable place to be living in. Like, even if you don't realize it at the time, it's not a nice place to be living in. If you can move away from even thinking about the calories, and again, switching your intention. Why am I actually turning up? Am I turning up for the calories and the weight loss, or am I turning up because I'm turning up for my mental health, for the way it makes me feel, for the community, for the presence, the joy I get for 45 minutes, the disconnection from the outside world, the moment of me time. I know so many of our members come to us for that, right? Like 45 minutes, just nothing else matters. It
I think,
changes your world if you can switch it to that.
And to be honest, that was one of the great things about the entire event, was all of the different topics that they were speaking about. It felt like there is a trajectory shift in this direction, into a more holistic fitness industry, a fitness industry that's focused more on wellness,
recovery.
Like recovery is a big topic about a lot of places putting in the ice baths and the saunas, because people are looking for that more wellness escape. Even when they talked about technology, which you'd think would be so far removed from that, the usage of AI, these are all hot topics around where the industry is going. But you can even look at all of that stuff, and how the Aura rings and the Whoop bands and
looking
the
more at,
AI,
like,
and how
markers.
and how even that stuff is less focused on calories and actually more on HRV and stress and sleep and recovery, and that how alcohol affects your sleep, and all of these different things. I think consumers now in general, and people in general, are actually a lot more holistic. I think people are a lot more open to the mental health conversation. I think people are a lot more willing to explore these different aspects of the life. And I think as a result of that, hopefully, that forces the fitness industry to evolve with it, and start to also focus on these different areas too, so we can actually support people in a more holistic way. And it's exciting to know that, the message that we set out with
2.5 years ago,
2.5 years old, is exactly that. And I suppose for me, that it was nice to hear some of the bigger brands, like you said as well, and just some of the topics being spoken about on the bigger stages, all talking about the same thing. It's just nice to know that we're on that trajectory, and it just kind of makes me want to really double down on that, and really make sure we hammer that as we move forward, and look for ways to continue to expand how we offer that to people, how we support people with the goals, how we show them more about the health from a wellness perspective, a stress perspective, a mental health perspective, how we can show them how the mental health's improving, just
and
all
longevity
of those things
as well. That was a massive topic, wasn't it?
And
longevity is coming through. Like, you're seeing like longevity clinics open up in the USA. Like, people, what was that documentary we watched the other night on that guy?
Can't remember what it's called.
But he's like a top biohacker for longevity, right? He takes thousands of supplements every day and does all of the things, which I kind of like. I found it really interesting, because obviously we're always trying to hack stuff in certain ways. Probably not as extreme as that. Don't have the time or money, but like, I think that's really cool that we're moving into just wanting to live longer, wanting to live fuller, wanting to be happier, healthier. Because at the end of the day, mental health is an epidemic. Like, poor mental health is like something that the whole world is suffering with, and I hope that it keeps swinging in that direction. I think it is. I don't mean to sound like all doom and gloom, like that no one was listening and everyone's still stuck in this pigeonhole. I do see it shifting.
Nice.
I guess I'm impatient, and I want it to shift faster. I just and I want to be a part of that change. I really want to be a part of being on the soapbox, which I think I am a fair amount now, to like shift it in that direction.
Well, the fact that these things were main topics.
Yeah. Right? And we had the panel discussion, which I think was so important. I'm really grateful that they put that together and we had the opportunity to do that. Like, I hope we do get to do it again next year. I hope it is a bigger discussion. I hope it is more mainstream. I hope it is on main stage, like, and I'm not just talking about this conference. I'm talking about in conferences in general. I hope those discussions are getting like main stage time now, rather than it being a nuanced conversation. I hope it starts to become a topic that it's so important that everybody needs to be hearing for their businesses, no matter what style of fitness business they're in. I think that'd be really important.